because it is early in the village still and it's Sunday, so everybody's sleeping. But I wanted to capture this moment while I could. Kind of see the frost coming out of my mouth. Another part of village life here is fog. So this is the view right now from the front of my house. Never mind the horribly maintained bushes, but pretty much if it were a sunny day, you would be able to see the hills and down through the village, but can't see much past the second house along the street at this point in time. So, yeah. And again, it's 8:30 in the morning, so you would expect the sun to be a little bit brighter, but it's not, and it won't be because it's winter. Another lovely thing about the location where we live, well, technically it's not winter, because when it is full-blown winter, the sun doesn't quite pop its head out until about 10 a.m., and then it will disappear again by 4. So if you are lucky enough, I guess, or unlucky enough to have to drive your kids to and from school, then you will need your headlights for both ways. Okay, the fog. Pretty impressive, huh? I was happy that I was able to catch that on film. I ran outside real quick in the morning to show that to you. Our village is kind of like in a little valley, so it does get foggy here quite often, and the phenomena is that, you know, it could be really foggy in the village and then you just drive up the hill and it's perfectly sunny. The fog is definitely distressing and disturbing to drive in because you really can't see very far sometimes. And, you know, living here, it's like, you know, there's an intersection coming. You know that there's a house. There's something that you're familiar with when the weather is good, but you really actually, for reals, can't see it. So that can be distressing, although I still find it interesting and cool, and it doesn't bother me, the fog. I just try not to drive if I don't have to. However, the fog, in addition to the clouds, adds to the darkness that we do experience here in England where I live. Typically, the sun comes out around 10 if it happens to break through the clouds, and it will be gone again sunset by 4 o'clock. That is not a lot of time to soak up vitamin D if it actually cracks through the clouds at all. So darkness is a real thing here, and it can be a real problem. The darkness and the lack of sunlight can lead to depression, or a condition that is categorized as Seasonal Affective Disorder. There are lots of theories, not lots, but there's a couple theories on, you know, why does that affect us this way? Why does the lack of sunlight cause you to be depressed? I think the major theory is the disruption in, melatonin production not being checked by the sunlight, and then it disrupts your sleep cycle and kind of throws you off a bit. I know for sure that I find in the fall and the winter, I'm creeping up to my bed, ready to go to bed, like really early. I think I was in bed at 7:30 last night, like in my pajamas, and I could have laid down, but then I was like, it's only 7:30, like I really need to do something else. But it's the lack of sunlight and the darkness, it can throw you off. Like you feel like it's so much later than it really is. You're like, oh, it's got to be like 10 o'clock at night. And no, it's 5:30. It's 5:30. We just finished dinner. But the feeling sad or being depressed is a real thing, and it does affect people. I've had issues with it myself, and I know my children, a couple of my kids, are particularly sensitive to the lack of sunlight. When we first arrived here, it was end of September, and so I went from an East Coast summer, United States summer, to England fall winter. And it was a very stark contrast, and I really didn't even realize what was happening until one morning I woke up and started crying, and I couldn't stop crying. My husband was like, what's the matter? What happened? And I was like, nothing happened. Nothing is wrong. There's no reason for me to be upset. Like, logically, I knew there was no reason for me to be upset, but I started crying and I couldn't stop crying. So that is something to be aware of. Living here in this country in England, and the farther north you go in the Scandinavian countries, etc., it's a real thing, and you need to be aware of that. Take care of yourself. One way to beat that, or try to minimize the effects that you would have from the lack of sunlight, is to try to keep your daily routine. Try not to go to bed at 7:30 at night. Try to keep doing the things that you normally do. Don't allow yourself to be isolated. Keep up with your friends. Keep up with your social contacts. And if necessary, purchase a happy light, which is basically a lamp that's really, really bright, and it simulates the sunlight that you would normally get. They are effective. I think they may be a little expensive, but if you feel like this is something you are dealing with, I'm sure it's worth the cost. And winter comes around once a year, so it's probably something that if you are feeling some effects of seasonal affective disorder, or you're feeling sad, the winter blues, you're gonna probably want to have it and use it every winter. So yeah, that's just another little snippet here of what it's like to live in the village. I'm hoping to continue to share more of these things with you. Christmas is coming, so they're putting the Christmas lights out on the village green. And of course, I'm sure everybody wants to know what the local pub looks like. So please, if you like what you see, go ahead and click the like button, click subscribe, so that you can be notified the next time a new video comes out. And I'm just happy and excited to be able to share the village life with you. So see you next time. Bye.